You are now listening to Sir Ink's The Experience Podcast, where we talk about anything and everything kink. Now, this podcast is only catered to those that are 18 and above and may not be suitable for work, or as we like to say, NSF. But remember, you can always listen to us during your private time. Hello, kinky and kinkers folk out there. My name is Sir Ink. Hello. How are you guys today? And let's get right into what I'm about to explain to you today. My topic today is many come for the kink, but not the discipline. Now, where I'm taking this is just an observation of the lifestyle of BDSM. You guys know that I am into the lifestyle. I'm into the kink, and I'm into the relationship side of BDSM. However, what I've been seeing in general in a lot of different relationship lifestyles, whether it be swingers, polyamory, BDSM, so on and so forth. What I see is, I'm going to speak to just BDSM. I see a lot of people saying I'm submissive, a lot of guys saying I'm dominant, and I see the same game being played out. It's the basic game of, I want a man, I want to be married. Not all women that want a man want to be married, but they want a man, and men want sex. Some men want relationships, but most of these guys want sex. And here's how everybody plays the game. At one point, the hot topic was, it was always being single and, how that goes. And then it was, so a man could justify being single and having multiple women and not really committing to anyone. It's, hey, I'm polyamorous, or hey, I'm open, right? And then everybody jumps into these lanes. I'm open. But really, these people really just want someone that they can have and control. And that is, I'm going to relate that to the lifestyle BDSM. I hear a lot of women say, I'm submissive. I've met a lot of women who say they're submissive, and I hear that. But I just think there's a lot of women who want a man. And they're like, yeah, of course, I want a man that can take charge. But that's not just what dominant men do. That's just some regular basic, alpha male traits. A man that is willing to be in control, be a protector, be a provider. Those are basic tenets, right? When you're a dominant man, when you're in a lifestyle, like I believe a lot of women are submissive naturally. I believe a lot of women know how to defer to a man. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a submissive woman in the lifestyle. There's a difference. See, a lot of your core traits may represent a submissive woman, but there's a difference of being submissive, having submissive traits, and being a submissive woman. And there's a difference of being a man with dominant traits and being a dominant in a lifestyle. And so I see a lot of guys will share things from other people to justify where they think they're at as far as dominance, or to let a so-called submissive know, this is where I'm at with it. They have no real thoughts of their own. They're just sharing information, just as well as a submissive. They have submissive traits, but they're really not submissive, but they're showing, but they'll send you stuff like, yeah, I could do this, I could be that. But people that are truly in the lifestyle and true to the lifestyle understand the difference between the kink of it and the relationship side of it. See, a woman will be willing to play this part of, I'm submissive, right? And then you can give her tasks, and then she'll fall short on her task. All the time, she won't be focused on her task. She won't be disciplined to her task. And that's a woman that just wants to be somewhat submissive, somewhat kinky, but they just really want a relationship. They really don't want all that structure. They really don't want to dedicate themselves to the lifestyle. They don't want to dedicate themselves to their own submission, which, whether you have a dominant or not, you should be focused on your own submission. As a dominant, if you have a sub or not, you need to be in your dominance. You need to always be working on yourself. And if you're not, then you're just a person looking for a relationship, which that is not a problem. The problem is when you, who aren't someone who's willing to be disciplined in the lifestyle, who's not willing to really learn and do what is asked of you, and on the other side, you as a so-called dominant man not providing any structure, not providing any real guidance, and not having expectations and consequences for those expectations not being met. This is not easy. BDSM as a lifestyle is not easy to live, whether you're living with someone 24/7 or you're not. As long as you have someone that you call a submissive and you have someone that you call a dominant, these things, this lifestyle and the dedication to it is not easy. You have to put thought and care into it. You have to put thought into yourself, and you have to put care into how you cultivate yourself, no matter what side of the slash you're on. And you can't wait to have a dominant or you can't wait to have a submissive to be who you are. I'm going to be a dominant man with or without a submissive. I only want to deal with submissive women. And not just a woman who has submissive traits, but a woman that truly wants to be in a lifestyle, who wants to get on her knees every day and profess what the lifestyle means to her and what I do for her. That is my submissive mission statement every day. She gets on her knees. She sends me a video every day. We have certain tasks that have to be done every day. And for that, and for her dedication to herself and to our dynamic, I have to always dedicate time for expansion, time to actually, watch these videos, comment. I have to be very thoughtful. I just can't have her doing these tasks every day and not actually watch them. No matter where I'm at in the world, when she sends me her messages, her good mornings, and her good nights, I'm always responding. No matter where I'm at. I could be out in the middle of Brazil somewhere, and it could be that time of night when I get that message, whether I'm eating dinner or we're in a car or I don't know, what if we're in a club? I'm not a club guy, but it's just I'm in a club. I'm taking the time to look at that message, respond to her, and just go through that. That's the dedication, guys. There's not many times that you can just take off. And if you do take off, it has to be like an emergency came up or life got in the way. But it's not like, oh, I forgot to do my task or I forgot to check your video. There's none of that, because you have to be dedicated to the lifestyle, which means you have to be dedicated to yourself first. You have to hold yourself to task. You understand? But again, when your real goal is just to have someone in your life, when your real goal is just to have sex with as many women as you can never give yourself 100% and call yourself a submissive or dominant. You're just a regular person that enjoys kink. You're a regular person that enjoys maybe playing the role of submissive or the role of dominant, but not necessarily wanting to delve deep inside of the lifestyle. Now, many of you may be thinking, well, if I don't have a dom, If I don't have a submissive, how can I practice the lifestyle? Well, you can always take up as a dominant man. You can always work on scenarios. You can always take up different classes like, rope bondage or attend functions as a submissive. You can absolutely join groups, learn more, read more about the lifestyle, go to functions, meet people, and go to meet and greets just to talk to people about the lifestyle so you can expand your knowledge base, really develop the kind of submissive you are, because just because you say you're submissive doesn't mean you're submissive like the next woman next to you. Everybody is an individual and everybody's in this lifestyle individually. And so part of being a submissive is understanding your submission, what level you are, and what further levels you're willing to go when you have a partner, and what boundaries that they can push, what boundaries you don't want to be pushed. Maybe you're in a lifestyle to work out some past traumas. That is very common in the lifestyle. But having an understanding of that, so when you come into a situation, you can be forthcoming about what it is about the lifestyle that resonates with you. Maybe it's the being, restrained part. Maybe it's the being told what to do part. Maybe it's being talked down to. Maybe it's for a dominant man, someone giving you total control over their choices. Maybe it's being ultimate protector. So we have to understand what is it about the lifestyle that feeds us, and that from being fed that, what we then produce from it. We eat from it and then we produce off of that. That is the food for us that gives us energy to be that dominant. To go to these functions or to take classes online to learn how to expand my palette. Like I started out with kink, and I would buy this and buy these different, sex novelties. Let's start out with the basics. Handcuffs, right? Handcuffs and a little paddle. And then you graduate to nipple clamps, and then you graduate to this, and then you graduate to testicuzzies, which is funny. But you guys get what I'm trying to say is you expand yourself. For example, I started out with handcuffs and things like that. I was just kinky. But now that I'm truly in the lifestyle, I picked up rope bondage, and I love it. It takes time and patience for you to develop that. I'm in my room watching football, working on how to tie, working on different harnesses. I've actually, as a birthday gift, I received a dojo doll from my submissive. Bought me a dojo doll. So I stuffed the doll, and now I get to do different, like hog tying or whatever I want to do, right? Because it's a doll, and I get to manipulate it however I want. So now I'm trying different things that you may not want to try on a human being first. So that's great. And I'm just sitting here like, what I'm saying, watching football. I'm not doing anything else. I can watch football and practice my rope play. And the best thing about it is I've been doing that over the last couple weeks. And as of like this past weekend, I had my submissive over and I tried different things. I rigged her up and all that. And like, that was great. And what felt great in the moment was that, hey, like I'm really enjoying this. It has increased our intimacy, and I'm really getting the hang of it. And like I love it. And it's teaching me patience. Part of my personality is I can become very impatient. I'm a very patient person, but when I'm agitated to the point, I become very impatient, very cut everything off, cut the world off type of person, right? And so what this is doing is actually showing me and giving me another level of patience, you know. And then I have another level of patience with my submissive, and she's patient as I'm trying these things, and And sometimes she'll try to adjust something for me. I'm like, no, 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 put your hand down, smack her little hand or something. And it's fun, and it's fun. So it increased our intimacy, as well as it increased my knowledge base of things that I'm able to do in a session, which is great. But I'm thinking about sessions. I'm thinking about how do we keep things fresh. I'm not always there. There are times where she has to remind me because I get so bogged down with work and doing all these other things, traveling and so on and so forth, that I do not necessarily neglect her daily tasks, but I can get off of what are some of our long term goals. Which one was like going to an event, which I have not, or going to some or doing some classes, even on role play, which I have failed to do. And when she mentioned it to me, I said, you know what, you're right. I had to stand corrected because I did promise that, and now I'm back on it, and I'm back on it strong. But every now and again, you need that focus, and it's okay that she says this to me because she's dedicated to it. And there's times when she gets to be a little overrun, and I have to tell her how to bring herself out of certain places, or I have to tell her that she needs to be a little more stern with certain people in her life. Things, so on and so on and so on. That's how we look out for one another and make sure that we keep each other firm in the lifestyle. And she understands. There are times where she'll come and she knows it's been a long work week for me, and we may not necessarily do a session. And then there's times where she'll mention, like, listen, I really need a session because she needs the release that a proper session gives. And so, okay, like, I need to be cognizant of that and know that, okay, when she comes over, I need to get my rest the night before. I need to make sure I'm rested. I'm normally working the day that she comes, but I just need to prepare. I need to go out, get the food that we need to have, the snacks, anything that I may need, as far as whatever toys we might use, things of that nature. So I need to make sure that I'm on point and with clarity. I cannot allow other things interrupt that time that we have together because we do not spend every day together. We see each other several times a month, and for 2 days at a time, maybe more sometimes. But I need to make sure that for those limited amount of days that we spend together in a month, that I absolutely show up with the right energy and the right mindset, because that's the dedication I have to the relationship, and that's the dedication I need to have to myself as a dominant man. Understanding that I'm responsible for setting the tone. And if I do not set a proper tone, it allows her to spiral and start thinking, well, do I really find her attractive? Do I really want do I want this dynamic with her anymore? Have we hit a ceiling? You know. So what happens is a lot of times you're submissive, and sometimes women will look at themselves and think, well, is it me? When really it's not them. It's really maybe you or me as a dominant that has a lot going on, and you run out of some mental juice. And what I realized about myself, guys, is that above 40, men lose testosterone. And you hear this all the time on commercials, and you see the commercial with the ex-football player and the ex-base, the ex-football players and the baseball players, and they're talking about male testosterone and take these supplements, eugenics and all that. And it is real, guys. And I realized at the end of August, my birthday had passed. I went to Brazil earlier in the month, and I had all this fantasy football stuff. Had to had some colonoscopy. I had a lot of stuff going on, but I'm running every damn run, and I just felt by Labor Day, and I had all this fantasy football draft stuff. By Labor Day, I was exhausted, mentally and physically exhausted, just running, running, running. And in between all that, I'm trying to fit in, working out and things of that nature. So I'm exhausted. And then I realized, you know what, I need to add some testosterone into my life. So I started adding a supplement, a testosterone supplement, and that's provided me the energy that I needed. Like I really needed a boost of energy and to get myself going again, and I've done that. And so with that, I realized how much mental fatigue I was under, and so I wasn't able to give my sub the proper attention. And we even had some issues, so a misunderstanding that went a little farther than it should have went. But this is life. People are going to have misunderstandings. You know, we're good. We talk through it. That's what we do. We don't argue. We talk. I don't argue. We can talk through things and try to come to understanding. A lot of things. I can't say a lot of things came out, but things come out. We had to get those things out, and that's fine. I appreciate having someone that you can have honest and open dialogue with. You know, uncomfortable conversations and your truth. You just have to get those things out. It may hurt someone's feelings, but you just, you know, you want me to tell you the truth or you want me to lie to you, right? And so you just try to have difficult conversations. That's what relationships call for, uncomfortable conversation, uncomfortable moments. But it also provides so much growth, gang. So much growth. So much growth. And so, again, if you're in the lifestyle of BDSM, you are into relationships, you are into your own submission first, you are into your own dominance first, and what that means to you. And then once you meet someone and you fully understand what your submission is and your dominance is, then when you meet someone, you're able to come to the table with that honestly. And then through that dynamic, you grow, you add more to yourself because this submissive will be different than someone else you've met. Now, with that being said, there's no shame in if you just love the kink aspect. There's no shame if you just like to role play as a dominant and role play as a submissive. There's nothing wrong with it. Even if you're an alpha female and you're a beta male, there's nothing wrong with role playing. But you cannot say that you are a dominant man and you cannot say you're a submissive woman within the lifestyle unless you are dedicated to it and disciplined. And discipline means do your tasks that are asked of you, do things that will dedicate yourself to doing things that are going to explore your submission, explore your dominance, and expand it. If you're waiting for a dominant to come along, if you're waiting for a submissive to come along before you can say you're in the lifestyle, then you're not in the lifestyle. What you're doing is you're just adding this lifestyle into your arsenal as a way of obtaining another goal. Which again, as I started this, you're either looking for a man or you're looking for a woman to have sex with. That's what's out here, gang. That's what's out here. A lot of guys don't want relationships. These guys that are on all these dating apps, they don't really want relationships. Out of 10 guys on these dating apps, maybe 2, 3 really want relationships. The rest of them just trying to bang girls. And all these women that's on these dating apps, you know, these elaborate bios and stuff like that, they really might. I would really believe that 7 out of 10 of them really are looking for some meaningful connection. But when I see people come in and say, "Oh, I'm a submissive," when I see guys just saying they're dominant, and then when I go to their pages, I don't see any original thought. These women that say they're submissive, I go to their pages, I don't see any submissive thoughts. I just see pictures and I see them sharing memes from other people. But what do you think about that? Like, what are your thoughts? That's what I want to know. What are your thoughts when you say you're a dominant man and I check out your content? If you're not speaking on it, if you're not writing about it, I just I don't think you're a dominant man. I think you're someone out here who's fronting like you're a dominant male just so you can get some woman who wants to be submissive or some chicks that want to be submissive, and y'all playing that game, and all y'all are playing that game. There's a couple of people that I follow that I really admire who put out content, and one is called The Light Keeper, chatting with the lighthouse keeper. Really great content. I found him on Tumblr. He was on Tumblr for years. He's still on Tumblr, but then he decided to get on Instagram, and I'm not sure if he's on Facebook because I'm not on Facebook anymore, but he probably is. And then you have my guy Discipline, who's a dominant man who talks about various topics. Can be everything from BDSM to relationships, and I would venture to say that he is just more of a dominant man and maybe not so much BDSM centric, but he's absolutely a dominant man that believes in his dominant role, who dedicates himself to who he is and how he functions as a high value man and a dominant man. Okay, so I think you guys should check their content out. Really good, intelligent guys, very thoughtful guys. I enjoy their content. And again, you may have submissive traits. You may have dominant traits. That doesn't mean you're a submissive or a dominant within the lifestyle of BDSM. You may just have those traits, but not necessarily into the lifestyle, because being into the lifestyle of BDSM takes a different level of dedication to yourself. And let's just be honest, gang. Most of you guys, most people that say they're in the BDSM, they're just kinky. They just love the kink. And I love the kink. Oh my God, I love the kink. But when you're into the lifestyle, the relationship part is so much more than kink. Kink is just not even a third of what this lifestyle is, in my opinion. Maybe, okay, let's just give it a third. But there's 2/3 of it that's not that. And so if you really, really want to be in a lifestyle, you really need to explore what submission means to you and what dominance means to you. And with that being said, it's very hard when you make a determination that this is what you really want to be into. You're going to dedicate yourself to it. Those people that are vanilla, or those people who are just into kink, they don't necessarily do it for you. They don't necessarily scratch that itch that you got going on. And a lot of times you could just find yourself being into the same stuff that everybody else is in, which is the game of boys and girls, humping and pumping and humping, humping and pumping, and just people lying to one another, playing games. You guys know the tricks. I don't have to really explain that to you guys even more. But I've been talking enough. What do you think? Please give me your feedback. Let me know your thoughts. Am I wrong? Am I right? Am I hitting the nail on the head? Am I making you question if you're a true submissive? Am I making you question if you're real dominant? Or am I really just making you feel like, you know what, I really do need to dig deeper into it? It's so rewarding, but it's the reward for people that really want to know more about themselves and explore themselves. But let me know what you guys think. So, you can reach me on YouTube and on all podcast platforms under Sir INQ. And I have a little change up, no longer on Facebook, but I'm still on Instagram under a new name, A_polite_savage. You still may be able to type in Sir INQ and still find me that way as well. I want to thank you guys for listening. Please hit me with your feedback, your comments. And until next time, peace.